Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery. Got a new product for you today. We wanted to tell you about the Bodoodle Influence arrow rest. So this is kind of a multifaceted arrow rest. There's going to be two versions of it, the regular Influence and the Deluxe Influence. We'll tell you about the differences there. But in its most basic form, what we're looking at here is a limb-driven arrow rest. Typical limb-driven, you're going to, in the resting, the bow, when it's in the resting position, your launcher is going to be held down. As you draw, the arm comes up, now it's supporting your arrow, and then when the limbs snap back into position, it pulls that down. So it is a drop away arrow rest. So you're going to have micro adjust for elevation and windage. All you're going to do is loosen that screw there, and then this is your control for your windage, left and right. Similarly here on the side, loosen that screw, and then you do have your micro adjust button on top there. You're just going to twist to raise and lower that rest position. Let's stick with this. This is going to be the standard version here. So you can see you've got these different holes here. So one of the cool things about the Influence is this is going to be what you mount onto your riser. That's going to be the bolt holding it in place, and then your arrow rest is going to sit like this. So with the standard version, you do have a little bit of adjustability as far as torque tuning, whether you want to move the rest closer to the shelf of the riser or farther away. You do have some room there. You can see the different positions. How you lock that in place then is you're going to have these two screws here that come in the pack. They're going to go into these two holes. You're going to pick two holes, and that's how you're going to attach it. So the purpose of that is that you can remove this rest from your bow for whatever reason, for your traveling or whatever, or if you have two different arrow setups, you want to swap them out, take one off, put a different one on, you can do that with this disconnect feature. So multifunctioning, as we talked about. So in that drop away feature there, if you're a bow hunter, what's something that we like is we like that full capture feature of an arrow rest, to where if your arrow is sitting in here with the bar overhead, your arrow can't fall out. Well, with a limb-driven rest, that's the resting position. So Bodoodle accounted for that, and how they did, I've got one mounted on the bow right here. So you can see I am in the resting position right there. Well, if I want to have my arrow fully captured, what I'm going to do is push on this part of the rest right here. I'm just going to push this out, and now the rest is full capture. However, it will still function as a limb-driven rest in that when I draw back, this lever is going to pivot. It's going to capture this the control arm here, so that when I shoot and my limbs snap back, it's going to pop back down again. So you'd start here, push out, full capture. Now when I draw back, so now it has captured the control arm, so that when I release, the rest got pulled back down. So it is still functioning as a drop away. But again, just a great feature there. And I know it makes a loud click, but you can, that click is pretty loud. However, you can quiet that down simply by catching it. So, you're up there in your tree stand. You don't have to worry about that loud click. You can make it quiet. So one of the other functions of the Bodoodle Influence is you can use this rest as a fixed position blade style rest. In other words, you can remove these two screws, you can take off that launcher arm, and you can put in its place one of those lizard tongue blades. Bodoodle recommends using the Cousin's Best blades. Those are going to match the screw holes there, so you can put the lizard tongue on there, and then you can fix this in position. You can change the angle of it, and you can lock it in position. Now, how you're going to do that is when this rest comes from the factory, there's going to be 2 different screws in here. They're going to be short. You have to take those out, and you're going to have 2 longer ones that you're going to get as part of the hardware. You have to put those 2 longer screws in here, and then you'll see this one out here. That's going to be what you drive to change the angle of the blade. You can see the blade coming down there, or I can pivot it back. However I want to get that blade or launcher arm to sit, that's your screw for driving that. Now, let's say I want it to sit right there. So I'm going to come over to this other screw, and you can see it still pivots. Come over to this other screw. If I drive that all the way in, now it's locked in place. It doesn't move anymore. And what that screw actually does is allows you to change, if you were using it as a drop away, you can change how far it pivots. You can see it only pivots there. Of course, you don't want it to only move that little. But if you want it to move even more, you can pivot it. You can loosen that screw so that you can get that rest to drop even more. But again, you have to put the 2 longer screws that come in the pack in if you want to lock it in place, and if you want to change the angle of that launcher arm, you're going to need those longer screws. Now, moving on to what comes with the deluxe version, of course, that's this right here. These are the extra pieces that you're going to get in the deluxe kit, Deluxe Influence. And you can see where those just swap out. I remove this bolt and I can pivot this one in place. Now you really get the full length for some torque tuning in there, some meaningful torque tuning. And this is going to be your receiver. Unlike the standard receiver, this one will accept 2 bolts, so you can lock this into place. And then you're going to have a big range of moving that rest for your torque tuning. Moving that backwards, finding that most forgiving spot. That's the purpose of the deluxe kit, to be able to do some meaningful torque tuning. You can do a little bit with the standard version. This is where you're really going to do some torque tuning. Also in the box, for whichever version you get, the standard one or the deluxe, you are going to get one of those limb brushes. This is what you're going to put on the underside of the limb so that you can run your control cable into there, and then these fingers will hold it in place. I should mention that this is how you're going to control the cord. You know, that cord length is going to vary, and you're going to want to be able to pull it tight so that this sits nice and tight and holds the rest flat. You want that rest to be held down as flat as it will go. That's all controlled by this cord. So this screw has 2 washers in it. All you're going to do is loosen that screw, wedge the cord in between. This cord does come with the rest, and then tighten it down, and then that's what holds it in place. And that's how you control the length of this cord here, is by that screw. You will notice 3 different positions for that screw. So if you have a very short draw length, 23, 24 inches, you're probably going to want to move that screw up closer to the stop here. So you just have different positions there depending on how much rest movement you need based on your draw length. So that is the Bodoodle Influence, nice and smooth lever here, and the spring. There's some great ball bearings in there. This thing does not have any grit in its function. I shot it for a couple of days there, worked flawlessly, did everything I needed it to do. Never had any arrow interference. So just a well-functioning, multi-function rest from the folks at Bodoodle, the Influence. You can have one rest on there and just configure it the way you want. If you want to go from hunting then to a blade style, you can do that, and you don't have to get another rest. You can just change this one to suit the way you want to shoot. All right, so that is the Bodoodle Influence. If you want to see this rest on our site, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. As always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.